Howdy folks, and welcome back to another episode of Mingles with Jingles, starting as always with Wanker of the Week. And Green Sight of Hell in his T29 here has managed to supply me with all of the material that I needed for Wanker of the Week in one replay, which is quite an achievement. The IS on his team is good enough to alert everybody that he's a massive douchebag by spamming chat with rubbish before the game has even started, earning himself the first of several reports that get submitted against him during the course of this match. If you're paying attention to battle chat, you'll note that the first tank to die is the SU-122-44, who manages to get himself killed without doing the slightest point of damage to the enemy team. But it's not his fault. No, it's because his team is full of people with less than 50% win rate. That's why he was the first one to die. Of course, we'll just ignore the fact that those players with less than 50% win rates are actually winning the game and doing more damage than you. It's also worth pointing out that this is a Tier 9 match, and that IS-8 up on the corner does have the IS-4's Tier 10 M68 gun. And he's firing high explosive with it. Not once, but twice. At a T29. Unsurprisingly, that doesn't work out too well for him. But of course what you really need when you're in a Tier 7 heavy fighting at close range against Tier 8 and 9 heavies while getting shelled by enemy artillery is for some cowardly douchebag on your own team to put a shot into your engine and then run away like a little bitch just in case you decide to retaliate. Note that this is the first damage that guy in the IS has done to anybody in this game. The cock goblet in the IS spends the rest of the match doing no damage to the enemy team, and in fact the very next time he fires his gun is when he thinks Green Side of Hell has forgotten about him, and he can stab him in the back again. This replay really did have it all. Chat spammers, team killers, whiny bitch XVM users, top tier tanks who have no idea what they're doing. Everything that you need for an episode of Wanker of the Week in one bijou package. So, anyway, on with Mingles with Jingles, and it's been one hell of a busy week. War Thunder Ground Forces is now in open beta test. Anybody can now log into War Thunder on the live server and play the tanks, so that's been big news. War Thunder managed to get 100,000 players, actually online at one point, which is a huge milestone for the game. Not only that, but Elite Dangerous is now into the version 4 of the alpha test. There is a 200 cubic light year stretch of space, including 5 star systems which you can fly around between, trading, bounty hunting, engaging in open warfare between the Federation and the Empire, pirating, assassinating, mining, you name it, you can do it. It's also going into premium beta test on the 30th of May, the day after Star Citizen's dogfighting module comes out. At last we're going to be able to actually do something in Star Citizen other than walking around an admittedly very, very good-looking hangar. In other slightly less important but slightly more amusing news, I mentioned in a previous Mingles with Jingles that some enterprising citizen out there has been taking the audio stream of Mingles with Jingles and uploading them to the Pirate Bay as a podcast. Well, I mentioned this in an episode of Mingles with Jingles, and since then he is now uploading them. I think this is brilliant. He's now uploading them as Mingles with Jingles podcasts, officially recognised by the mighty Jingles himself. I think that's fantastic. So, what else did I get up to this week? Well, I'm coming to the end of the self-imposed break that I've been taking from World of Tanks. I have sneaked onto the servers to have the occasional game every now and then, and I've been enjoying it. I have managed to unlock the VK4502A by playing one more game in my Tiger P. I haven't bought the VK4502A, I'm not stupid, but I have unlocked it at last and finally deleted my Tiger P. I've also been to the movies. I went to see Godzilla, the new Godzilla movie, and oh dear. Let's just say, I mean, it's a Godzilla movie. I wasn't expecting Schindler's List, but I was expecting to be entertained. Big dumb monster movie with big dumb monsters beating the crap out of each other, in exactly the same way that Pacific Rim was not a fantastic movie, but it was really, really entertaining. You go to watch a big old monster movie, you want to see big old monsters battering the crap out of each other, and you do get to see that in the new Godzilla movie for about 3 minutes. I can appreciate them not wanting to show you the monster in the trailer. They don't want to give the whole game away. But let us see the things in the damn movie. Here's the thing. If you're making a zombie movie, the movie should not be about the zombies. It should be about the people and how they deal with the zombies, and about how society falls apart in reaction to the zombies. Every good zombie movie is like that. If you're making a monster movie, it should be about the monsters and not the people. Pacific Rim got it right. Alright, Pacific Rim was all about the battles between the monsters and the giant robots, and it was fantastic. Big, dumb fun, exactly the way it should be. Godzilla gets it the other way around. The monsters are barely an afterthought. It's mostly about the people. Unfortunately, the people are almost 100% completely forgettable. I have never seen a movie where such great actors get wasted as criminally as they do in this movie. Ken Watanabe basically stars as Japanese guy who looks overwhelmed all the time. Similarly, Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad is also in the movie, and he is very, very good for the 20 minutes of the movie that he's in it. The rest of the film, you're following US Navy lieutenant who wanders around with his mouth hanging open. and he is not what the movie should be about. It's also incredibly stupid. I mean, even by the standards of big dumb summer action movie, it is incredibly stupid. I'll give you just one example. They have a nuke that they're going to use to kill these monsters that feed on radiation. Yeah, we'll let that one slide for the moment. And they're trying to, I won't give the details away, but they're trying to disarm this nuke. But the casing over the arming mechanism has been jammed. So there's a bunch of soldiers standing around this nuke. And we got to get the casing off. We don't have time for that, this soldier says. Quick, pick it up, let's carry this nuke down to the docks, which is 1 kilometre away. So you don't have time to find a fucking crowbar, but you do have time to pick up an intercontinental ballistic missile and carry it to a boat on the docks. Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And this is just one of many, many examples. For example, the nuke that they're using, the part of the whole backstory was that all those nuclear bomb tests that the Americans conducted in the Pacific in the 50s and the 60s, they were not bomb tests. They were the US government trying to kill Godzilla. But how the hell are you going to kill him with a nuke? Didn't you try to kill him in the 50s? Yeah, but the bombs that we used in the 50s were much, much smaller than the bombs that we have these days. No, they weren't. The bombs that you used in the 50s were measured in the megaton scale. They were measured in the megaton scale because the delivery system of the weapons was so inaccurate that you were liable to miss the target by a mile or more. So you needed a big bomb. Modern weapons miss the target by a couple of meters, so you use bombs that are measured in the kiloton scale. it just, oh man. Things like that just really annoy me, and the movie is riddled with crap like this. Oh god, there's also the other part where they eventually get this nuke onto the boat on the docks, but the monsters have generated an EMP pulse, which has wiped out everything electrical and electronic. But they've thought that. They've brought a spare battery, and they use the spare battery to jumpstart the boat. Because apparently electromagnetic pulses don't disable things like solenoids and starter motors. But you know, none of this would matter. It is a big dumb summer action movie. None of this stupid shit would matter if the monster fights were good. And they're just not. They really, really aren't. There's not enough of them. And when they are on screen, you can barely see them because they're big grey monsters. And they mostly fight at night in the dark. And they're covered in clouds of smoke and dust. And it's just terrible. It really... Wait until it comes out on DVD if you absolutely, definitely must see this movie. It is just bad on so many different levels, and it was a massive disappointment. I was really looking forward to a big dumb summer action movie, just like Pacific Rim from last year. Pacific Rim got it right. I mean, Pacific Rim was full of stupid shit as well. They had monsters that generated EMP pulses in that disabled all of the new Jaeger giant robots, but Gypsy Danger could still fight because it was an analog nuclear reactor. And that was stupid as all hell, but you didn't mind when you're watching Pacific Rim because the fights were good. Well, there's none of that in Godzilla, I'm afraid. It's just bad on so many levels. And terrible though it may be, it's still a better movie than Battlefield Earth. I watched Battlefield Earth recently as well. I could watch it for free, thanks to Amazon Prime, on my Kindle Fire. There's a whole bunch of free movies and TV shows that you can watch on there. Battlefield Earth has been one of those movies that I've been itching to see for a while. Not because I thought it was going to be any good, but because I'd heard that it was so incredibly bad, and it really didn't disappoint. It's kind of like picking at a scab. You know it's not good for you, but you just can't help yourself. And so I had to see this movie, but I was damned if I was going to pay for it. Well, I knew what the plot of the movie was in advance. I'd read the book when I was 12. The book was written by L. Ron Hubbard. He's the guy who founded the Church of Scientology. He was a hack science fiction author before he got into founding crazy religions. And I read the book when I was 12 and I thought it was great. Which tells you everything you need to know about how dumb the book was. That a 12-year-old thought it was fantastic. Well, the book is actually significantly more intelligent than the movie. And I'll give you just one example. The basic idea is that it's the year 3000 AD. Humanity has been either wiped out or enslaved by a bunch of aliens who run Earth as a big mining colony. They destroyed all of humanity's armed forces in 9 minutes, and the only surviving humans are either working as slaves in the mines, or they're completely out of contact with everything else, living as cavemen basically, in heavily irradiated areas, which is the only place on Earth that the aliens can't go. So, cutting a very long story short, they mount a successful revolt against these alien slavers. And one of the ways that they mount this revolt is by firing up the 1,000-year-old flight training simulators at Fort Knox. I'm not making this up. And teaching a bunch of cavemen how to fly AV-8B Harrier jump jets in less than a week. And you can see where this is going, can't you? It really is that colossally stupid. Yeah, it's not the kind of movie that encourages you to ask questions. Questions like, why does the power still work at Fort Knox? Why do they have flight training simulators there? Why are a bunch of cavemen able to teach themselves to fly Harrier jump jets in less than a week using these simulators? Why do the jump jets still work? The shelf life of the fuel in those jump jets is about 4 months. Never mind 1,000 years. And why can half a dozen of them successfully fight off an alien invading force that managed to wipe out the entire military of all of Earth's nations in 9 minutes the first time around? It just does not pay to ask yourself questions like this when you're watching Battlefield Earth. You'll just give yourself a headache. I do highly recommend you watch this movie, just purely so that you can sit in absolute, utter awe of how mind-bogglingly stupid it is. You will feel less intelligent for having watched this film, but it's worth it all the same. It is that bad. Just whatever you do, don't pay for it. So, yeah, that's what I've been getting up to this week. Going back to War Thunder for the moment, however, I did a video on War Thunder Ground Forces shortly after it came out into open beta test. Yes, I say beta test because I'm English, not American. Deal with it. And the point that I made in this video was that you could turn off the foliage. And this obviously has, well, two significant effects. It means that people with lower-end PCs can also play simulator battles without suffering unacceptable frame rate loss. But it also means that people with perfectly adequate machines can turn off part of the game mechanics and play the game without concealment, and therefore be able to see tanks that they wouldn't normally be able to see. Now the thing is, this is a complete non-issue in arcade and realistic battle mode, because once a tank gets spotted by your crew, the name of the tank appears over it anyway, so it doesn't matter whether he's in concealment or not. In simulator battles, this is a much more significant issue, because in simulator battles there are no nameplates above enemy tanks. You actually have to physically see them. Concealment is not an option in simulator battles. It's a game mechanic. And allowing people to do this in simulator battles is basically allowing people to turn off a game mechanic. And that's just wrong on so many different levels that I barely know where to start. As of course is 100% completely usual in YouTube comments sections on videos, the message got lost in all the whining from the butthurt low-end PC users who thought I was attacking them for cheating because they have to turn foliage off in order to sustain a decent frame rate, when that is obviously not what I was talking about, or at least I thought it was obvious. So I'm going to repeat the point here in words that hopefully everybody can understand. If you have to turn off most of the visual settings in order to be able to play War Thunder Ground Forces with an acceptable frame rate, you are obviously not attempting to gain an unfair advantage, are you? You're just trying to play the game. It's people who have completely adequate PCs, who are able to run the game with an acceptable frame rate, who nevertheless turn foliage off purely and simply to gain an unfair advantage in spotting enemy tanks. This is the issue that is being posed. And if you for 1 second think that people who do have perfectly adequate computers are not turning off the foliage in order to gain an unfair advantage, then you must be really, really new to multiplayer gaming. I do sympathise with all the low-end PC users out there, and appreciate that this is a problem for them, and it's not a problem of their own making. And unlike most of the people in the comments section of the video in question who suggested that the way to fix it was for everybody to just buy a better PC, that's not really an option either, is it? And of course the whole point is that they don't have to buy a better PC in order to play Ground Forces simulator battles with decent frame rates. They can just turn the foliage off. This is the whole point of the problem. I tried it myself for a couple of games, even though my PC is perfectly capable of running Ground Forces simulator battles with maximum detail settings and still sustain 50 to 60 frames per second. But I had a go, and suddenly I could see tanks that were cresting a ridgeline on the other end of the map that would normally have been obstructed by foliage. The only problem was, it looked like dog shit. I tried the Kursk simulator battle, and it looked like I was driving across the surface of the moon. All sense of immersion was just gone. It looked terrible. And this is the price that you have to pay. I mean, this is nothing new. This isn't just unique to War Thunder. People with below average gaming PCs have had to put up with their games looking like dog shit since the dawn of time. They don't run games on those kind of low settings in order to gain an unfair advantage. They run games on those kind of settings in order to be able to play the game. And of course, Gaijin want as many people as possible to be able to play the game. They recently reached a milestone of 100,000 players online at the same time, which is massive for War Thunder. So what can Gaijin actually do about this? Well, as I see it, there are 3 options. The first option would be for Gaijin to remove the ability to mess around with the detail settings where it affects things like concealment. So we're talking about turning off foliage in simulator battles only. It doesn't matter in arcade, it doesn't matter in realistic, it's only an issue in simulator. That is never going to happen. It's never going to happen because it would mean that all you guys with low-end PCs just wouldn't be able to take part in simulator battles, and Gaijin are never going to do that, because I genuinely do feel that simulator battles are the way ahead for War Thunder Ground Forces. They're so much more immersive than realistic or arcade, and Gaijin are never going to shut off the option to take part in simulator battles for a large proportion of their player base with low-end PCs. So that's just not going to happen. The second option might be for Gaijin to change what turning things down to low detail settings actually means. If, instead of removing foliage completely, turning the foliage render distance down as it is now to 0 would instead be replaced by an option to replace foliage with low resolution, much more blocky, lower texture versions of the foliage that exists in the game. Non-animated foliage. You would still take a hit to your frame rate because the foliage would still be there, and it might mean that people with very low-end PCs would be shut out from playing simulator battles due to having unacceptable frame rates, but the concealment would still be there in the game. And people with low-end PCs are kind of used to playing games that don't look great in the first place, so this wouldn't be that much of an issue. The third option would be for Gaijin to do nothing. and just let things carry on the way they are. And letting things carry on the way they are isn't exactly hurting them at the moment. They have reached 100,000 people playing at the same time. But while that would be disappointing and not completely surprising, of course what I hope they do is go for option 2, the compromise, and they leave concealment in the game, but give people with lower end PCs the option to render that concealment, the ground foliage, with lower resolution, non-animated versions of it. Because concealment in a tank game is not an option, it is a game mechanic, or at least it should not be an option. Of course, there are still going to be some losers, and we're talking about the people with very, very low-end gaming PCs, perhaps people playing on notebooks. Unfortunately, that's the price you pay for being able to play modern games. It's a sad but true fact that you do have to draw the line somewhere. The Formula 1 Grand Prix Association doesn't have a massive amount of sympathy for people pulling up next to Jensen Button on the starting grid of the Silverstone Formula 1 Grand Prix in a Ford Focus. Similarly, while Gaijin do want as many people as possible to be able to enjoy their game, they probably don't have a massive amount of sympathy for people trying to play War Thunder Ground Forces simulator battles on a mobile phone. And on that bombshell, well, let's answer some actual questions from last week's Mingles with Jingles. This is Andrew Payoyo, and he wants to know, Jingles, have you heard of the Krebs DionDiBlank situation, and what do you think of Krebs' decision? I actually hadn't heard of it, so I went to investigate, and it turns out that Krebs has actually done something very, very brave. It turns out that what's happened to Krebs is it's a very real problem for those of us who make our living putting videos up on YouTube based on certain games. What happens when you get to the stage where you've made your name by covering a certain game and then you no longer enjoy playing that game and you don't want to put videos of that game up anymore? Now, I must rush in right now before the internet rumour mill gets started. This is not me subtly winding my way towards saying I'm not playing World of Tanks anymore. That's not going to happen, right? This isn't about me, it's about Krebs. Krebs got his start doing Company of Heroes, hence the name Krebs Coho, which was the name of his YouTube channel. And he kind of stopped doing Company of Heroes games and then got into War Thunder. And he got to give credit where credit's due here. He is a fantastic War Thunder pilot, far better than I will ever be. And his videos are very, very polished. They're very high production values, very slick, very easy on the eye. His flying skills, second to none. He was great at War Thunder and has made a name for himself doing very, very, very good War Thunder videos. Unfortunately, he no longer enjoys playing War Thunder. Or perhaps more accurately, he's no longer enjoying the pressure of feeling as if he has to put a War Thunder video up every day. He's made a name for himself as one of the War Thunder guys. And he doesn't just want to play War Thunder all the time. He's not enjoying it as much as he used to. He wants to play other games, but he feels as if the community that he's built up around his War Thunder videos is just too strong, that they're going to break into open revolt if he scales down the War Thunder product and starts putting other stuff up. And so he's made a very, very brave decision. He's basically killed his Krebs Coho YouTube channel, and he's started again from scratch as DionDiBlank, and he's basically putting videos up of whatever the hell he wants. It's a very, very brave decision. You know, he had a lot of subscribers, and he's basically stopped supplying them with the content that they've come to expect on a daily basis. He started again from scratch, and he's just doing whatever the hell he wants to do, rather than what people expect him to do. Now, he's certainly not the first YouTuber to be in this kind of situation, although I think he's probably one of the bravest. I did a War Thunder collaboration video ages ago with Devil Dog Gamer, who's a former US Marine who does gaming videos. You know, we had a lot in common. We're both ex-military, and now we do video game videos on YouTube. And he was having a similar problem because he got his name by doing DayZ, or DayZ, depending which side of the Atlantic you live, videos on YouTube. And he enjoyed playing it. And he got into exactly the same situation, where all of his subscribers were there because of DayZ. And he started wanting to play other games, and they were breaking into open revolt and complaining that they weren't getting a DayZ video every day. And his approach was just to do what the hell he wanted, which is pretty much my approach as well. But at the same time, if you do that, you have to accept that you're going to be taking a certain amount of shit in the comments of the videos that you upload from all the people who are not getting the video that they want. I get a small element of it myself. I announced that I'm taking a break from World of Tanks and only put a World of Tanks video up once every 2 days. and I get comments saying, for God's sake, Jingles, if you're going to stop playing World of Tanks, just let us know so we can unsubscribe. It's part and parcel of covering more than one game on a YouTube channel. You just have to put up with it, and you can't take it personally. Or you can do what Krebs did and just start again from scratch. Say, well, thanks guys, it's been a hell of a ride, I appreciate all the support that I've had, but I'm starting again from scratch. I'm not going to be covering any one game exclusively. I'm going to be doing what the hell I want, in the same style that you've been accustomed to. If you want to join me, great. If not, well, I'll miss you, but I'm going to do it this way anyway. And that's what Krebs has done. And I certainly wish him the best of luck, because he certainly deserves to do well. He's a very, very entertaining YouTuber. It's not an approach I'm going to be taking, of course. I pretty much put up videos of whatever the hell I like. And most of you understand that. I have always put up videos of whatever I like. Luckily, what I like tends to be the same as what most of you like. But I do appreciate that some of you only come here for World of Tanks. Some of you only come here for War Thunder aircraft. Some of you only come here for War Thunder ground forces. Most of you are quite happy with the video content that I put up because there is a certain amount of overlap. I mean, World of Tanks and War Thunder tanks are similar. War Thunder aircraft obviously different, but there's, you know, they're all mid-20th century armoured and aerial combat games. There is a large amount of overlap between them all, and so this is why I like playing these games, and hopefully it's why most of you are here, because you like that kind of genre as well. But these aren't the only videos that I put up. I do museum visits, which not all of you are interested in. A lot of you are. I do airsoft videos, which I will be doing again soon. I keep threatening to do it. I just need to make sure I'm up early enough on a Sunday in order to get along to my nearest airsoft site. There's some fantastic weather down here now. I really do have no excuse for not getting out there and filming some more airsoft. And then, of course, there's the Star Citizen and the Elite footage, which is about as different from World of Tanks as you could possibly get. But it's all stuff that I enjoy doing, and I did kind of make a deal. Well, there's no kind of about it. I did promise everybody that when I'm doing War Thunder and World of Tanks, if I ever put something up that isn't War Thunder or World of Tanks, then you're also going to get a War Thunder or World of Tanks video that day as well. And I haven't forgotten the promise, and I don't think I've broken it yet. It's possible that I have, but if I did, it was unintentional. Because I do appreciate that the majority of you come here for War Thunder and World of Tanks, and that's fine, because the majority of the time I am playing War Thunder and World of Tanks, so the majority of the videos that you're going to get from me are going to continue to be War Thunder and World of Tanks, for as long as I enjoy playing them. No end in sight at the moment, so none of you need to panic. You're still going to continue getting the kind of stuff that you come to my channel for a long time to come. Just don't be surprised if I throw the occasional more exotic bone into the water, like Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous, because I enjoy playing those games. So those are the kind of videos that you're going to get from me. Final question of the day, and yes, I know it's only the second question that I've actually answered, but this is Mingles with Jingles. You'll not know what to expect by now. This comes from Tank1900, and he wants to know, Jingles, what expression do you use most in everyday conversation? I suppose the expression that I use most is probably hello little Boo, when I'm talking to my dog, and I do talk to Boo quite a lot. And I had to actually stop and think for a while about what is the next thing that I say more than anything else. And actually, quite surprisingly, it turns out that what I do say more than anything else is, Eddie, you are so crap. Eddie, as most of you will be aware, is my faithful but incompetent camera minion. He's my best friend. I've known him for years. We served on many of the same ships together, and he is usually the guy behind the camera whenever I'm filming an airsoft video or a museum visit. But he is a little scatterbrained, and I'll give you just one example. Yesterday, we were driving to the movies to go and watch Godzilla, and we were overtaken on the motorway by a car, and the registration plate began with the letters BL11, and I immediately cracked a joke, because Eddie plays World of Tanks as well, and immediately cracked a joke that, oh, there's always somebody who's got to go one better, referring to the BL10 gun on the ISU 152 and the Object 704, the infamous troll cannon from World of Tanks. Eddie gave me a blank look. He had no idea what I was talking about. Now, you have to understand that Eddie plays World of Tanks for at least 2 hours every day. Eddie has an SU-152. The only reason he has an SU-152 is because he wants to get an ISU-152 with the BL10 gun. But he didn't know what the BL10 was. And so that was one of the many, many occasions where the conversation ended with my most used phrase in the English language, "Oh my God, Eddie, you are so crap." I mean, I love him to bits. He's my best friend, but he doesn't have the brains God gave a potato. Now that I've just conducted a character assassination on him, I should probably make up for it by pimping out his own YouTube channel, The Oncoming Storm. He's a big Doctor Who fan, hence the name of the channel, and he does do his own World of Tanks videos. Link in the video description. And that is it for this week, boys and girls. Hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget you can get these in podcast form on the Pirate Bay thanks to a very enterprising and cheeky subscriber. Take care out there, and I'll catch you next time.